Добрий день.
Good afternoon. Welcome, everyone. I'm Oля Tamanova, Media Center in Ukrinform. This is the 9th year of war and 139th day of full-fledged invasion of the Russian aggressor to our lands. And I would like to thank everyone who speaks the truth about this war and heroic resistance of the Ukrainian people. Today our team has prepared lots of events. So briefly about today's agenda. At 12:30 we have planned a special event. We will present the video clip Energodar is Ukraine. This video clip was created jointly by Energoatom and the TNMK band and is dedicated to the resilience of the heroes of the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant and all the occupied territories. The presentation will be attended by the president of Energoatom, Petro Kotin, Fagot, leader of TNMK band, and Yuri Kovalyov, film director. So please join us at 12:30. While at 1:30 we will be joined by Yevgenia Kravchuk, Deputy Chair of the Verkhovna Rada's Humanitarian Information Policy Committee. We will discuss with her the results of the OSCE Parliamentary Assembly's meeting. So now we will be talking to the representatives of the Razom for Ukraine charity foundation that supports veterans and their families and the volunteers organizations. Our speakers today are Dora, the president at Razom for Ukraine Charity Foundation, Liuba Shypovych is vice president of the fund, Evelina Kurilets, and Vitalii Svichynskyi, leader of Dity, Vstyhnemo, children who will be on time civic movement. So the first question I would like to ask Ms. Dora is how did you manage to collect $57 million US dollars to support Ukraine and what exactly those funds would be spent for? Thanks a lot for this opportunity to share this information. How did we manage this? Well, we managed this with the help of special people. For many years of our work, during the Revolution of Dignity, we have established Razom for Ukraine Charity Foundation. It's one team in multiple countries. In the first 8 years of our existence, we had about 4,000 donors involved in our various projects. The projects that promote the development and prosperity of more successful Ukraine. That's our goal. We try to achieve it in various means. Right now we have more than 130,000 individual donors. Most of them are donors who give between $5 to $1,000. The average amount would be $350. Since we were building the structure in various countries with one goal in mind, and the goal is more successful Ukraine, that's why when the full-fledged invasion happened, we were ready to involve as many people as possible. And I am personally very much proud that even though we have collected $57.5 million for our work, but what makes me especially proud is that we managed to publish more than $38,000 worth of goods, gave it to the right hands to stop the blood loss, to save lives, and my colleagues will share some more about this. I would like to focus also on the fact that in addition to the direct assistance that we are providing, we have quite a large team involved in advocacy. In English, that's the word advocacy in 3 areas: with the countries, with businesses, and with generic society. We have conducted hundreds of events with businesses. We want more openness so that the international businesses that are working with the occupiers should show their clients what they're doing. And we provide Congress the information to provide systemic help to Ukraine. We are well aware about the substantial potential to do good in Ukraine, and we know the main goal is to stop the blood loss so that this potential will come to the world to the front lines of the world, and we start building it and scaling it up so that we can keep working on this. And in this regard, I would like to give the floor to Eva Kurilets, who is acting director of Razom for Ukraine, to tell more about what we've been doing already. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Let me tell you some more about how we carry out our work in Ukraine after the beginning of the full-fledged invasion. All the efforts, of course, were thrown, like Dora said, to stop the blood loss. And the mechanism of stopping the blood loss was emergency response mechanism, which has been carried out in a couple of stages, starting with procurement in the US, Europe, Ukraine of tactical medicine, hospital medicine, communications, means, UAV, logistics from here to Ukraine, receiving and processing requests here in Ukraine, the warehousing, sorting, processing, logistics, our drivers bring directly to the hospitals, to the military bases, to the ultimate beneficiary, that is to say. A couple of figures now. 67,000 tactical individual first aid kits. That's 67 potentially saved lives. Also, for almost 12 million, we bought the communications means. In addition to providing tactical hospital medicine and communication means, we recognize that we need to teach how to use the UAVs or the tactical first aid kits. So you need to know how to make use of it, not only have it. And we have supported the project. And in our school, we have offered training for more than 500 UAV pilots, also separate school on tactical medicine. In addition to emergency response project, which we focus on at the very beginning, now we recognize that there are new challenges, huge psychological pressure on people who had to flee their houses, who lost their loved or whose relatives are defending our country at the front lines. So we have opened the psychological support centers in Ivano-Frankivsk and Lviv, and a large part of our work is handing out grants, supporting smaller NGOs that are grassroots organizations who know better than anyone else the direct needs of local people, especially if they are IDPs. We're talking about foodstuff here, some minimally needed hygiene products, clothing, etc. Our foundation has supported 98 such organizations for the total amount of more than $3 million. We are grateful to anyone who is working now for the good of Ukraine. We're open for cooperation, and we all have to remember and recognize and acknowledge that our independence is first and foremost is our responsibility, and what we're going to be looking like tomorrow will depend on us. Now more about the project Liuba Shypovych. That's our biggest project, emergency response. Glory to Ukraine. Glory to the heroes. I am Liuba Shypovych. I am co-founder and vice president of Razom Charity Foundation, and for the time being, I am coordinating the emergency response project the response for the full-fledged invasion to Ukraine. I'm grateful to Dora and Eva for the figures and statistics, but I would like to step back from the figures now and live up probably. I believe that often enough we are being treated as a faraway US diaspora foundation sitting on the heaps of funds, but actually Razom, that's ordinary people, predominantly Ukrainians who have left to live in the US or were born in the US, but mostly these are people who went to the States to work, to study, young professionals who have strong ties with Ukraine, who feel pain from what's happening in Ukraine, who have lots of relatives, friends, near and dear in Ukraine, and a huge number of such Ukrainians are coming back now to help Ukraine, both at the front lines and as volunteers in different places. And on 24th of February, well, actually the 23rd of February, 10 p.m. because of the time lag. At that time, we were thinking that we need to deploy a large-scale assistance effort to help Ukraine, because this invasion on Ukraine was discussed in the US long before it actually happened. So we have become proactive in mid-February to train on tactical medicine, and at the time when there was first airstrike on Kyiv, at that time we had Zoom call with other NGOs in the US discussing how would we be able to help to train the military. And when we've seen the news that they are already hitting Kyiv with shelling Kyiv, at that time we started buying everything, whatever we can, having the experience of 2014 and 15 when tactical medicine and communications means disappear immediately. We recognize that we're running out of time when we can still use this corridor of opportunity and make some large procurements. The first week, our team was not sleeping at all. We've been in touch with the producers of tactile medicines, drones, radios, telephones, all presented here. In the first weeks, we've been buying everything left and right. Then we started coordinating our efforts with other organizations to make sure that we will have large procurements competing with the Russians. Sometimes we did this, trying to prevent that the Russian army will have any success. In some countries, because of political decisions, we tried to block the ability to sell to the Russians. Others, we advised that, well, keep it for yourselves. It will come handy, we said. Next thing, how should we deliver all that to the front lines? How to efficiently deliver it? So in the first weeks, our team, we've been running around asking about the military logistics. We understood how it was back in 2014 and 14, but now the scale was quite different. It was closed skies in Ukraine, no ability to fly in or even ship in through sea ports. So the world was not ready for such large-scale war. The world didn't have the algorithm of military logistics for the country in the middle of Europe of such scale, and we had to come up with our own logistics, build our own processes, and we have established our own CRM system to manage the procurements, the deliveries, the requests. So now it's an ERP system, like a big enterprise management system, and thanks to connecting to the logistics hub of our partners like Smart Medical AIM Plus, Nova Ukraine, Kyiv School of Economy, we are bringing in more and more organizations like that. And I believe each dollar of what we collected in the US or elsewhere, we are using to the maximum effect possible, deliver needed assistance to the front lines, to military hospitals, to civilians as well. And now we are even joking that after the victory, we'll be able to arrange military logistics and help to fight successfully against the invaders and win the war. Now I would like to pass the floor to the manager of our deliveries section, Vitalii Svichynskyi. He's the leader of our drivers team, all the buses that deliver the supplies directly to the military. Thanks a lot, friends, thank you. I am Vitalii Svichynskyi, and I've been represented as coordinator of Dity Vstyhnemo civic movement. Well, probably you remember the story that all the Ukrainians of the world have collected my child $2 million, a small ampulla like this, and saved life. After one shot, everything's fine, and I hope that soon enough we'll be able to demonstrate video how he starts to move around. And I'm grateful to everyone, and especially to Razom Foundation that systematized all the help, making possible that it will be made possible. And now it's my pleasure to work with the Razom team and manage their logistics area. We started it all with my brother, using our personal car, started evacuating yet another child with SMA from Kryvyi Rih on day one of the invasion. And we've been evacuating lots of people. Well, I don't want to call them people with special needs, but they are rather people who would find it more difficult to get evacuated than anybody else. Elderly people, women with kids. We started with one car and then it started growing. We systematized it. Now we have 10 vehicles. We have covered 280,000 kilometers. Just imagine, that's basically like 7 times driving around the planet. And we did it. So 1,200 cubic meters of supplies. Well, if you look at those small gadgets and you look at this large volume, well, you will recognize that it's a lot. Liuba was right in saying that we are striving to achieve some systemic solution. And I know what a volunteer's job, how it looked like in 2014. It was the beginning of it all, very chaotic. We did all we could to defend ourselves at that time. But now I had this personal feeling that the Razom Foundation, as well as other charity funds, became service institutions. We have clear understanding how to work, how do we need to deliver supplies, how we need to communicate with the military units, how to document everything.
Військових такі відгуки, що
And it's pleasant to hear feedback from the military that it's comfortable to work with you, that what you're doing it user-friendly, that when we address Razom organization, then it will be on time and with the highest quality possible. Well, I'll be candid with you. As soon as we came back from Donbass, and it's pleasant for me to see the mood of our military, of our servicemen, that despite the fact that the front lines are moving slightly, unfortunately, in some areas the invaders are seizing additional territories temporarily, but everyone is confident that every centimeter of Ukrainian soil will be brought back. There is no mood like, well, you know, that we are giving up or being defeated. No, positive mood and uh, 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 what the servicemen and servicewomen told us is that we bring part of the civil life to them. In addition to delivering goods, we tell them how Ukraine looks like now, and back we bring bits about military life, what's the situation at the front lines, and often enough we drive in a team with my brother, and I told him, you know what, I look how Ukraine is being changing when we drive from Lviv to Slovyansk. First, there are no more signs of ordinary life. The stores are being closed down, fewer and fewer people on the streets. And then I tell him, I'm surprised. Look, in Kramatorsk, the trolley bus is riding and people are standing on the bus stations. And I said to Kramatorsk mayor, thank you for keeping the trolleys running, because this is a sign that life goes on here and that people keep it rolling. We come to Slavyansk and then we recognize what does it mean when the city is being completely prepared for war, because that's basically front lines. You can see the combats in 10 kilometers distance, and the conclusion I made to myself is that we need to value every minute of peaceful life, every second of staying together with your near and dear, because when you, well, Kyiv, well, had some exposure to occupiers being close by, but there you recognize that people have already tried to build their everyday life around such conditions, and such people become different. They have different things they discuss, different way of looking at the world. We'll keep doing what we are doing, and I'm convinced that we will win this war. We Ukrainians are a powerful nation, not only in terms of fighting valiantly against such a powerful enemy, quite a powerful enemy. It just happens so that we are more powerful. And it's about the ability of the Ukrainians to self-organize themselves in a systematic manner, started from the armed forces all the way to the civilians working together to prevail. Thank you for all your work, and I'm convinced that together we will make sure that Ukraine prevails in this war, and that will come back into the national borders of 2014 at least. Please use the mic. Ukran Forum, Irina Kazhakhar. I have two questions. Can you tell us in more details about the Center of Psychological Support, how to get there, whether they have been launched already, what's the how many people it could accommodate? And my second question to you is that you have so many things that you do. How do you control how the funds are being spent? How do you deliver the needed supplies? Well, let me start with the Centers for Psychological Consultations. This is a pilot, and we are grateful to Rockefeller Foundation that allocated funds for us to launch this project. So far, we have opened two centers. One is in the city of Lviv, and the second one at the Prikarpaty University Psychology Departments, another center there in Ivano-Frankivsk. In a couple of days' time, we will have all the contact information on our website with the ability to get online booking there right now. Our website contains this information. The major benefit is group therapy. These are not telephone consultations, or this is online. You can feel yourselves, and it's much easier for the psychologists to work like that. And this Friday we will have the first visit to the Oblast Center. We recognize that not everyone has the ability to come to us, so instead we'll go to one of the large towns in Ivano-Frankivsk region, catering to a large group of people, namely the widows of servicemen who were killed, and mothers and fathers who would not be able to embrace their sons and daughters. So we'll focus on this group of people so that in the future they will be able to support each other. We give the foundation, and then people use it to stand tall in the future. How do we control all that? Well, it's extremely important for us that not only donors would know and will be convinced that absolutely every tourniquet, every drug or medical tool will get to the final beneficiary, so that they will believe us and keep supporting us. It's important for us that people recognize that we operate fully legally with all the legal paperwork, which takes lots of effort, time, and money, because just recognize what is the current situation in the front lines, and we ask them to sign some acts and put some stamps on them. We have our own accounting system, which is a great grateful to Liuba Shypovych and her team. This is the accounting team that allows us to see the movement between the warehouses, between the countries in real-time mode. It allows to see where the supply is at right now, who is being delivered to. So it's the efforts of a large number of qualified people who recognize the importance of this process. I have recalled such a term as military logistics. Well, the logistics are important both in business and in wartime. Some of the logistics we were building similarly to how you do it in business, in the supply companies. With us, the accounting starts from the moment of the payment for the invoice by our procurement team. Then our IT system gets the information about this, and then that we are waiting for this product at one of our warehouses. One is in the US, another in Canada, and one in Poland. Our hubs where all the procurements come in. Then we see how much has been delivered to that warehouses, sorting and packaging into pallets by volunteers, accounted for, of course. We use a couple of carriers between the continents. Unfortunately, we were not able to use our private jets just yet. And then from Poland to Lviv, that's our carriers. In our system, we have all the vehicles, drivers. We form the agenda or the schedule for them to deliver to particular destination points in Ukraine. We have a special system how we receive requests from the military, from the hospitals. We receive, we process. You can see who's been working on this request. If the request comes from the military units, for instance, for drones, then there will be a certificate on successful completion of drone pilots training. We have practical trainings offered at the front lines. And drones we give only to people who have been certified after attending the relevant training course. As for the tactical medicine, well, we have preliminary history of orders from those military units. We know what's being ordered before. We make sure that the commanders know that these are the actual needs of the military company, and then we deliver all that. The paperwork has been generated, so the work of the logistics company, with one exception, the security and safety system. We take care that access to this information should remain restricted. People who work in the system have their own roles, have access to the limited parts of the information, because we recognize how critical such information might be if it gets into the wrong hands. We are not looking at where the vehicle is when it goes towards the front line. We only know the general direction, but the exact route would not be known by volunteers at the warehouse or managers. So for security reasons, to avoid sharing any information about where our military units might be located. The second end of this chain, from IFAC all the way here, is lots of people who gather the funds, who are reporting to all those 130,000 individuals who either donate personally or organize events or do something. And this systemic reporting from one end to all the way to the other. Apostrophe TV, Daniela. I have two questions, but first I would like to thank Razom Foundation for this successful work for the benefit of Ukraine. So my questions are, first of all, I'm interested what the Razom Foundation will be doing after the war. Let's discuss something optimistic. And the second question will be to Vitalii. We have heard already that he coordinates the logistics. So my question is, when you deliver to the hot zone in Donetsk region all those supplies, medical and otherwise, was there any threat to lives of volunteers? And was there that person then says, well, I would never go with you again, and what should you do about this later on? Well, I will quickly tell you on your first question. Well, what we'll be doing, as we're doing now, building more successful Ukraine in various ways, so that Ukraine could share goods for the whole outside world. And it's great that Eva would be able later on, after the war, to tell you more about this. Our work is not risk averse, that's quite clear. And there were people who would refuse to work with us after the first trip, others just refused straight away. There are 14 drivers now. It was an uphill battle to find all of them. They're all professionals, and I'm grateful to all of them for the job that they're doing, because right now, in more than 4 months of the invasion, they know quite well every path, county road, what's being mined or not. We've been under shelling often enough. Anyone who starts this volunteer's job recognizes what we are risking. Are we trying to minimize the risks? 100%. We know all the routes. I personally have covered 60,000 kilometers. I know lots of paths and country roads where it's not worth going to, where the saboteurs are working and subversive elements. We have quite an automated system indeed. Liuba has already mentioned that everything has been accounted for in a software tool, but we as drivers, when we get to the point and transfer the supplies. I enter this into the program, and I can see that the driver is in there and that the goods have been handed out. And after the drivers come back home, we try to find out how safe it is there. I then enter this information to our logistics program so that come next time we'll have it all covered. We try to minimize the risks which are present, but like I said, our drivers are a bunch of quite heroic guys. On behalf of all of the Ukrainians, I would like to thank you for your very important daily work. Thanks a lot. I would like to thank you for joining us here. We believe in the armed forces, and let's move together and win this war. Thank you.